Hi, kindergarten. It's Miss Barge here to bring you your literature story to start off our week. And I'm sure you can guess which character is going to be in my book today. It's the crazy little monkey, Curious George. He is an animal. He is a character in this story who does and says things. That's how I know he's a character. When I read the story, you can see what he does and hear the words that he says. And you might even find some other characters in the book who do and say things. They might be characters that are creatures, animals, or people in the story. And remember, they have to say or do something in the story to be a character. Curious George goes to a costume party. And I chose this book because on Thursday at Havre de Grace Elementary School, boys and girls, it is Character Day. You get to dress up as your favorite book character, whether you're coming to school in person or whether you're at home learning virtually, and all the teachers. You and everyone get to dress up as your favorite character. So maybe this book can give you some ideas of who you want to dress up as. And maybe this weekend on Saturday, you might be celebrating Halloween and you might be dressing up in your very own special costume. Let's see if you see your costume in this book. Curious George goes to a costume party. Oh, there's the title page. Curious George goes to a costume party. Illustrated and written by H.A. Rey and Martha Weston. This is George. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. In every book he's in, he's very curious. One day, George and his friend, the man in the yellow hat, were on their way to a party at Mrs. Gray's house. Miss Gray might be another character. George could not wait. He liked parties and he was looking forward to seeing Mrs. Gray. But when the door opened, George did not see Mrs. Gray at all. He saw a witch. Mason, look, it's what you're going to be for Halloween, a witch. Don't be afraid, George, said the man with the yellow hat. This is our witch friend. The witch took off her mask, and it was Mrs. Gray's real face hiding under the mask. Oh dear, she said. Did I forget to tell you this was a costume party? Oh no, you're right. George and the man in the yellow hat don't have a costume. George had never been to a costume party before. Inside, he saw more people that he knew. They were all wearing costumes. There was his friend Betsy, dressed up like an astronaut. Here she is. And was that Bill? Why, he looked just like a mummy. George wanted to wear a costume too. I have some dress-up clothes upstairs, said Mrs. Gray. Would you like to use them to make a costume, George? That's a really good idea. She's being a kind friend to help George solve his problem. Mrs. Gray took George to a room with a big trunk filled with clothes. Borrow anything you like, George, she said. I have just the thing for your friend downstairs. George is taking a peek. George tried on lots of costumes. The first was too big. Look what he's trying to be. What is he trying to be? Yep, a firefighter, Levi, you're right. The next was too small. Danielle, look what he's being. Little bunny. Another was too silly. Harper, look at that costume. I wonder if you had a ballet costume like that. And this one was too scary. At last, George found a costume that was just right. George was a rodeo cowboy. He wore a vest and pants with fringe. He even had a lasso and a hat. There's the hat, the vest, the pants with fringe. Oh, that must be the lasso, the rope that you spin. If only he could see himself in the mirror. George was curious. Could he see himself if he stood on the bed? There he is on the bed. No, he couldn't see in the mirror still. It's all the way up here. He needed to jump higher, kind of like you jump on your bed at Closure, William. George bounced on the bed just a little, but he still couldn't see. I'm going to make a prediction that he jumps a little too high and something happens because he's jumping and he can't see, or something's going to happen. He bounced a little more and a little more and a little more and a little more. Soon George was having so much fun he forgot all about looking in the mirror. He bounced as high as he could until... What's going to happen? Uh-oh, it's going to fall on his head. Crash! George bounced off the bed. He smashed into the night table and got tangled all up in the tablecloth. Suddenly, everything went dark. George heard the people downstairs gasp. What was that? Was that a ghost? Ghosts are white. You can't see George. He looks white. I wonder if everyone downstairs is really going to think he's a ghost if he stands up and walks around like that. Maybe the ghost is going to be what his costume is. A ghost? George did not want to meet up with a ghost alone. Oh, silly George. He thinks there's a ghost in the room with him. He doesn't realize everybody thinks he's the ghost. He dashed out of the room and down the hall. He wanted to get back to his friend in a hurry, and he knew the fastest way. He hopped onto the stairwell and sailed down the stairs. Boys and girls, he kind of looks like a ghost. Look at everybody's faces. That's a scary face. I think they're feeling scared. It is a ghost! Someone screamed. Everyone turned. They looked and scared, and they were looking at George so scared. The ghost must be right behind him, George thought. He still doesn't know the people think he's the ghost. George flew off the rail and landed plop right in the arms of the farmer. But this wasn't really a farmer. Boys and girls, look who that is. Who's under that costume? You're right, Riley. It's the man in the yellow hat. Soon, everyone stopped looking scared and started to laugh. The sheet came off so they see that it's not a ghost. That's not a ghost. That's a cowboy, laughed the policeman. That's not even a cowboy. That's a monkey, giggled the princess. That's just not any monkey, said Betsy. It's Curious George. Everyone clapped and cheered. They liked George's Halloween trick. He didn't even know he was playing a trick on everyone. You gave us a good scare, George, said Mrs. Gray, and I'm glad you see and found some interesting costumes. Now, why don't I take your ghost outfit so you can go join the party? After the guests bobbed for apples, they lit jack-o'-lanterns and they played some more party games. They got prizes for the best costumes. Wonder who won the costume contest. I wonder what their prizes were. There was one prize for Betsy, and one for Bill, and two for Curious George. You were the best ghost and the best cowboy, George, said Mrs. Gray. So he was two costumes, so he got two prizes. Have you ever gotten a prize for a costume contest? Everyone had a good time at the party, especially George. Too soon, it was time to say goodbye. Good night, George, and happy Halloween. Boys and girls, it's time for me to say goodbye because you need to get to special areas. Remember to be a star student, and don't forget to whisper the characters you met in this story to your teddy bear friend, your stuffed animal friend, or whisper them right to my ear in the screen. Have fun at specials. See you later, boys and girls.